up, everybody? It is Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. This is the Blue Root Pod. The Blue Root Pod can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure you leave those reviews and drop those 5 stars. It can also now be found on our YouTube channel. Nearly 1,000 subscribers now. Joining us today, we got Matt. You know him as Pure Booyah on Twitter. What's up, Matt?
How's it going, Chris? Always a pleasure to be with you talking about the up and coming.
Up and coming, man. November hits on Friday. We are going to do a Blue Coats roster primer. Also joining us today, we have Jason. Follow him on Twitter at JBlevinsNBA. What up, Jason?
I'm so excited. We're 2 days into Blue Coats camp, and what can I say? I love it. I love the G League. I love the Blue Coats. It's the best.
It's the best. It's the best. I got my Blue Coats, my sweatshirt on. I got my Sixers hat. Man, it's Blue Coats season. We're going to just go by, one by one of the Blue Coats roster, talk about our expectations, what we want to see from these guys. Let's start off with Zyre Smith. Zyre played 11 games with the Blue Coats last season. He started 5 of those games. He averaged 7.2 points in 22.7 minutes per game. He shot just over 40% from the floor, 19% from 3. Dude, Jason, lead us off. What do you want to see from Zyre Smith this year?
Talked to Zyre today, and he said that besides everything, he wants to show that he can defend. Obviously, he can defend point of attack, so we want to see that, right? We want to see him fight through screens, and we want to see him knock down shots. One of the things that he worked on today, I have a little bit of video of him working on corner threes and transition threes from above the break. Those are the things that you should watch for with him. The other thing with him, obviously, he's got good timing on offensive glass, and he's still got that power forward instinct from college. So when the ball goes up and it goes on the rim, he's always going to be a threat for offensive boards and putbacks. So, he's still 20 years old, and he is progressing really nicely.
No one crashes the glass like Zyre, man. He is a blast to watch. Go ahead, Matt. What do you want to see from Zyre?
I want to see him continue to develop. He's 20. He doesn't turn 21 until after this season ends. June of next year. And as we know, NBA, you don't really hit your stride until you're about 23 years old. So, I think it's totally fine that he just keeps progressing and keeps learning. And I have no problem, as long as he is mentally stable and happy, I have no problem with him staying down in the G League as long as it takes for him to get comfortable with all the skills he needs to play at a high level in the NBA. We saw what happened with Markelle, and I think some of that was just immaturity. And I think in the next year or two, when he hits that 23 season, we're going to see that. So what I really want to see out of Zyre Smith is to continue progressing, working on his three-point shot, working on his defending, taking some cues from his good buddy Matisse, and using that athleticism to help the team.
Awesome, man. I've got a couple things I want to see from Zyre. Number one, last year you saw Zyre Smith just running through the motions, just especially on offense. Yes, he was just coming back from injury, but Zyre Smith, man, I want to see a more involved in the offense Zyre Smith with the Delaware Blue Coats this year. He only took 7.6 shot attempts per game. That's not enough this year, man. I want to see that go up. Lastly, I want to see more points off turnovers from Zyre. 1.5 points off turnovers with the Delaware Blue Coats last season. That's got to go up. We all know that that crystal path to the Philadelphia 76ers is points off turnovers, deflections, getting into those passing lanes. That's what I want to see from Zyre. I just want to see him, like Matisse, just causing chaos in those passing lanes. Let's move on to Mr. Mario Shayok. Shayok averaged a team-high 14.5 points per game, along with 4.3 boards, 2.8 assists in 20 minutes per game during the Sixers Summer League in Las Vegas this summer. He sort of got a little famous on social media when all of those comparisons of Kevin Durant came out. It was just everywhere. Go ahead, Matt. Lead us off. What do you want to see from Mario Shayok this year?
I want him to be Kevin Durant, obviously.
What else? Let's move on. Next topic.
Shayok was actually really awesome in college, Iowa State. He did a really good job on that team. And he knew his place and he knew his role, and he was a leader on that team. He was the old guy on the team, and now he's back to being the young guy again. I think he just needs to learn from his teammates, guys like Mike Scott, guys like James Ennis. Maybe shore up his defensive prowess. I think that's where he really struggles. We've seen his offensive game, and I want that to continue to develop. But to play on this team, to play for Brett Brown's 2019-2020 Sixers, you better be awesome on defense.
Nailed it. Go ahead, Jason.
I don't think we're going to see him much in the Sixers uniform on the floor this year, because I think the difference in expectations for him between how he'll play in Delaware versus how he'd be asked to play in Philadelphia are so vastly different. I think they're going to use him like they used Shake Milton late in the year last year. They're going to give him the ball, and they're going to let him operate, have a green light, operate out of a pick and roll, but looking for his own shot versus sort of running point. He is going to be allowed to score. I believe he will be the first option in the half-court offense, and that's just not really preparation for what he'd be asked to do in Philadelphia. So that leads me to believe, expect to see him in Delaware a lot. He is going to be the guy offensively for that team.
So is it going to be similar to what Shake Milton has done over the last year?
Well, I think Shake has more point guard skills, but Shake, late in last season, really took on the offensive initiation role for the team, and he started putting up real big numbers. I think there's going to be similarities. I don't know that we can expect Shayok to have the same sort of assist numbers. What I would look for from him is, can he find a Darrell Moore or when they have Pell down there, can he find them on lob opportunities on the pick and roll? And that would show some growth. But I just think the guy's going to get every opportunity to take a ton of shots and score a ton of points in Delaware.
I think you're absolutely right, man. I don't think it, though, hindered Shake Milton's development at all. In fact, I would argue that Shake Milton has looked better off the ball than off the ball this year. He was a lot on the ball with the Delaware Blue Coats, talking about Shake Milton here. But Mario, what do I want to see from Shayok? Dude, other than being active on the defensive end, which he may not be, but I want to see Shayok, like you said, Jason, just be an offensive juggernaut with the Delaware Blue Coats this year. I just want to see that guy that can take a guy off the dribble consistently, knock down buckets, beat you off the dribble, space the court. That's what I want to see Mario Shayok to be. Is it best for his long-term development? You're probably right, Jason. It's probably not. But either way, I just want to see him grow. Next up, we have my boy. It is Norvell Pell. Norvell had a very strong season with the Delaware Blue Coats last year. He made the G League All Defensive Team last season. He was third in voting for All Defensive Player of the Year. Go ahead, Jason. What do you want to see from Norvell Pell, man?
I just love the pairing with him and Raul Neto. So I want to see as much Norvell in Philadelphia. It's sort of, I know that they're both two-way guys, but as much as I would love to see Norvell play 30 times in Delaware, and he will play a number of games, I just believe in his skill set. I believe he is not just an elite G League rim protector, he's an elite professional basketball rim protector, period. And with the right point guard, his catch radius on lobs is world class. And I just want to see that. I want to see it. And I'm not sure that point guard exists in Delaware. So I'm not sure we're going to see that potential offensively when he does play down there, like maybe we did last year. So I want to see as much. I want to get every one of those 45 days as much as possible. Let some of these bigs in Philly get a break here and there. Let's activate him. Let's get him a few minutes. Pair him with Neto. Get him on the floor whenever possible. But when he is in Delaware, it's going to be an absolute block party between he and a couple of the other guys we're going to talk about. There's just going to be no oxygen in the paint at all for opposing teams. So he's such an exciting player. He's worth the price of admission. He is worth the price of the ticket to go see the Blue Coats when he plays. If you like shot blocking and you like lob dunks, then he's the reason to come see that team.
Don't forget the shimmy. Do not forget the shimmy. Every time Norvel Pelle blocks a shot, he does a little shimmy. Go ahead, Matt. What do you want to see from Pelle?
I would like to see Pelle become a full member of the Sixers roster. I'd like to see him get off the two-way. I think that the Sixers will be making some moves before the deadline, and I think it may free open a spot. And I think Pelle would be a really great fit, especially when we're going to be resting Joe and Horford down the stretch, I assume. I would love to see him get some play in real NBA action because, Kyle O'Quinn's great and he fills in, but to have a guy like Norvel Pelle locked down for the next few years, I think would be really good for this team. And he comes at quite a discount for his skill set. You just don't find guys with that sort of athleticism and size very often.
Yeah, can we just go back to that point, because I think you're dead on. If you look at the way this roster is constructed, the way that it sets up, and what I think it's going to be pretty obvious that they need, it's setting up like they need a consolidation trade where they're going to have to package a few guys in order to match salary for the type of person that would fill a top 8, top 9 rotation spot. And just like you said, when you do that, that's going to create more space on the back end of the roster. And I would love to see them convert Norvel. He's just got to show the consistency. He's got to show those things that the coaches don't have to worry whether he is entirely committed and engaged. And if he does that, I mean, the guy is super talented.
Absolutely. I could easily say, do what you do best, Norvel. Protect the rim, roll to the basket. He is elite at all those things. But for me, I want to see Norvel Pelle, continue to grow his basketball IQ. I want to see him stay out of foul trouble. I want to see him box out better. Cut down on those turnovers. Really control the offensive glass as well. We all know Brett Brown loves the offensive glass. Let's move on to Haywood Highsmith. Haywood was the Blue Coats Swiss Army knife for the bulk of last season. He impacted the game in just multiple facets, and then it happened. He hit a brick wall. He hit that rookie wall. His three-point shooting went from 42% to 33% to 32% to 23% in successive months. What do you want to see from Haywood Highsmith? Go ahead, Matt.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Show me that confidence. I watched the Blue Coats game. The dude was so confident. He shot the threes with confidence. He came down and filled the lane properly. He came up to the Sixers and played those 2 games. He looked like a deer in headlights, and I get that. I'm sure there was a lot of nerves, and I'm sure it was so much adrenaline, so much excitement going on. It's hard to calm yourself down to get into that zone that you need to be in. So I really want to see him gain more confidence in himself. Like, he clearly has the talent. They brought him up to the Sixers because he had the talent. They played him in regular season games because he had the talent. He just needs to believe in himself more. I think that's truly what's going on here because the talent's there.
Awesome. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think last year there was a bit of a just happy to be here. Oh gosh, I've gone from undrafted walk-on to training camp, essentially a walk-on. You got an invite, but undrafted in the G League draft, comes into camp, earns a spot, becomes a starter. Next thing you know, he's playing in NBA games late in the season. That's a lot to take on. We had him in studio for our first studio show. Despite what anyone thinks, he just stopped over and we brought him on set. And I think, Chris, you've seen that video. Yeah. He's got a little bit of frustration right now, right?
Yeah.
His summer didn't open up for him in the way that it did for Shake Milton, where Shake got a 4-year contract. So there's a bit of, starting over again, and he's going to be more aggressive. I think he's in much better shape. I think he's got a professional body versus a converted college power forward body from this time last year. So I think he's in physically better condition to avoid that rookie wall fatigue that he admitted, again in studio, he admitted he hit that wall. And I love to see the frustration, because that's what you have to get over, right? You have to get over the happy to be here, and you have to start to have the hunger to want more. And the guy does everything a coach could ask. He's just selfless, and he needs to show a little bit more aggression. And the way he's going to do that is to turn other teams over, run the floor, and don't be afraid to pull the trigger on the transition three and then knock down those threes. If he does that, he's going to put up bigger numbers on offense, and he's going to show NBA teams a skill set that every NBA team needs.
I have so much love for Haywood, man. He is a versatile defender, one of the huge things I love about Haywood. But being a consistent shooter from three, generating steals, playing those passing lanes, that is everything for Haywood Highsmith. He needs to show that he is back to that November, December Haywood Highsmith that we all fell in love with. If he can do that, the sky's the limit for Haywood. Let's move on to Ku Maji. Ku Maji averaged 6.6 points, 5.6 rebounds per game with Florida State last year. Ku Maji went undrafted. What do you want to see from Ku Maji? Go ahead, Jason.
I want to see him and Taco Fall on November 9th
Perfect game. Yeah.
In Delaware. I want to see the two of them on the floor. He is a good backline communicator. He is massively tall. He's the only player that I have ever had to use my telescoping tripod during an audio interview just to make sure that I could get audio. This is during pre-draft workouts. Smart guy. He runs in a straight line really fast. He's very mobile in a straight line for someone that big. He's got to learn to move laterally. Someone with legs that long, that's always going to be a challenge. If he learns to do that and he develops any kind of offensive game, just any sort of softer hands to catch, even to catch lobs, and he learns to box out and rebound, those are the things that are going to make him a useful player. But he is insanely massive, and he's a really good communicator on defense. So I think he plays the Batman role in the proto stages of the Batman role. He's a great theoretical fit.
When we saw the blue-white scrimmage game a few weekends ago, it wasn't Ben Simmons, it wasn't Joel Embiid, it wasn't Mike Scott that was the biggest takeaway. It was how big Ku Maji was on that court. Go ahead, Matt. What do you want to see from Ku Maji?
I mean, he's 270 pounds. It's not like this is one of those 7'3" guys that looks, thin everywhere. I mean, he's a built dude. And as Jason was saying, it's one of those situations where he needs to develop an offensive game. Clearly, he's going to be able to defend. And, unfortunately for him, his game doesn't translate to what the NBA is becoming. A center that can't shoot the three is becoming useless in the way that the NBA is played now. And if he doesn't develop a game outside the paint, I don't know how many teams are going to take a chance on him. To go back to Norvell Pell for a second, the guy can shoot free throws. He has a great touch. He needs to learn how to hit a little bit of a jump shot. And, he instantly becomes more useful. Ku Maji just has to work on an offensive game. In today's NBA, unfortunately, the Shaqs and the Dwight Howards, they just don't fit the same way they used to.
But I do think that if you look at the big club, they want to dominate on the glass. And the way to dominate on the glass is to get position on offensive rebounds. And if he learns to use his body to create space, the hardest thing for big men to do to learn to do in the pros is to not just try to out-leap people for rebounds. They're never going to do that. They have to create space like Charles Barkley used to create an area. Steven Adams is the best, in my opinion, at just creating space for rebounds. If he learns to do that, then he doesn't really need to jump to do putbacks. So he can play putback offense and if he can get 6 points a game on offensive rebound, second chance points, that helps the team tremendously, because that allows the guys that we're going to talk about, more of the slasher types, to take lower efficiency shots, knowing that they're going to have some guys to clean up, turning garbage into gold.
I would like to see the Blue Coats use Chris Komachi in that Justin Patton role like they did in the second half of last year. I want to see the Blue Coats just slowly ramp up this guy's minutes kind of as the months go on this season. This guy was insanely productive when he was on the court. What I want to see, just that endurance, man. Just get him on the court, get him more time on the court. I don't think we could ever expect him to be this 30-minute per game player. He's not going to be like that. But I have a legit feeling, guys, that this is going to be one of the most popular players to watch with the Delaware Blue Coats this year. He's going to be a fan favorite, especially on Twitter and social media. Let's move on to Mr. Jared Brownridge. If there's one thing you need to know about Jared Brownridge, this guy is lethal from three-point range. He led the G League with 187 three-point field goals made last year, 30 more than the second-place guy, Duncan Robinson. What are you expecting from Jared Brownridge this season? Go ahead, Matt.
So Jared Brownridge in college shot around 40% from three. I mean, 40% from three is crazy. I know it's a little bit closer than the NBA range, but if he can shoot 40% in the NBA, I mean, I don't know how he doesn't make a team. How few 40% three-point shooters are there in the league right now? I mean, there's barely any. Everybody's kind of between 35 and 36%. The best shooters, 35 and 38%, something like that. So I want to see him continue to develop that shot, but for him to get a real chance in the NBA, his problem is always going to be defense. Like he's not very much into getting to the passing lanes or anything like that, and he's a small guy. He's a combo guard in the NBA. So I mean, he's going to be a shooting guard in the NBA. He's got to get his offensive game more than just spotting up and shooting the three. Although I guess some teams would like to see that. I just want to see a more complete game from him.
Yeah, for me, man, it's just quite simple. Let it fly, dude. Like similar to Norvell Pell, not comparing their games at all, but Jared Brownridge, like Norvell Pell, his rim protection has an elite skill. I just want to see him let it fly. Space that court, baby. Be that 40 to 42% mark from three-point range this season. Let's move on to Dorell Moore. The Blue Coats acquired Dorell Moore for Keenan Evans and a draft pick. He is 22 years old, another 7'1" guy. Like you said, Jason, it's going to be a block party down at the 76ers Fieldhouse. What do you want to see from Dorell Moore? Go ahead, Matt.
So Dorell Moore, he went to Wake Forest, right? Here's the thing with Dorell Moore. He's 7'1". He's a huge body, and if he is able to show that he can move in a way that Ku Maji can't move, I think he's going to wind up taking minutes from Ku Maji, quite frankly. He has all the skills to be an NBA player. He's got the size. You can't teach that. He's got that weight. You can't really teach that. I mean, he's got the body. He's got the skill set. And I think we're going to start seeing him get – if Pell's not around, I think that you may see Dorell Moore as the starter over Ku Maji in most situations. So I just want to see him take advantage of his opportunities and show that he belongs. And, we'll see what he can do. Any comments, Jason?
Yeah, I do think he's the starter. He's got to get in shape. He's a little bit behind the other guys that have been in Sixers camp for the last month or so. If he gets in shape and he's more ready to play consistently, I think you're going to judge his value on two things: defense and his ability to open up, set good screens to get their guards downhill. And then again, rebounding. These two bigs have to control the glass. I just, if there's one thing I worry about, is does this team out rebound people consistently, or do they let it be a free-for-all? If he can just bounce people out of that paint and control the glass, then he's going to be a super useful player for this team. Just incredibly useful.
Yeah, I see Darrell Moore kind of using that Ryan Anderson role last year. He's just a massive body. He's going to be there for his rebounding, setting screens, like you said, Jason. Little fun fact about Darrell Moore. He was a former teammate of Ben Simmons and Ku Maji back at Monteverde Academy back in 2015. And he also played alongside Haywood Highsmith. He was one of the 12 players in that NBA G League elite team, along with our next guy, Xavier Munford. The Blue Coats acquired Munford a month ago in a trade that sent picks and DJ Hogue to the Wisconsin Herd. Munford appeared in 4 games last year, 11 of those starts, averaged 18 points, 4 boards, 5 assists in 34 minutes a game. What do you want to see from Mr. Xavier Munford? Go ahead, Jason.
I think he's the key to whether this team makes the playoffs or not.
Wow, okay.
Because of all the things we talked about leading up to this, he is going to be the point guard for this team. If he defends opposing point guards, can slow them down, and can be efficient offensively, take good shots, and get downhill, he is going to be the key to their half-court offense. And I think that he and Shayok and Highsmith are going to be sort of the 1 through 3 combo. He is probably the most ready to attack defenses and break them vertically, right? The other 2 guys are going to be, you're gonna ask Haywood to be a catch and shoot guy, not so much put it on the floor, and you're going to ask Shayok to create a little bit horizontally off the pick and rolls. Munford is going to be the downhill guy, and if he can do that effectively and hit the outside shots, then this is a playoff team.
Right on, man. Go ahead, Matt.
All right, so I don't see Munford as a kind of guy that is going to be an assist getter. I see him as the kind of guy that's going to score buckets. And if they need him to be a true point guard, he's going to have to learn that skill set. That's really not what he did when he was in college and at Rhode Island. He's been out of college for a while. He played some time in the NBA already, but he wasn't a point guard when he played. So if they're expecting him to be a distributor, I think that's something that he needs to add to his game. It's not something that he had in his game. He may have that, but if he's going to play major minutes, it sounds like he's going to have to learn how to be a good distributor.
Yeah, and this is why I've been harping on the offensive glass, because I think the Kobe assist is going to be the key, more so than the classic floor general assist for this team. I think you're going to see a lot of transition assists where they knock down transition threes, but in the half court, I'm just not seeing a ton of classic floor generals.
Absolutely, and you're right, Jason. Pick and roll scares the hell out of me with this roster, because you saw Norvell Pell kind of be taken out of the game during the summer league last year when kind of Shaq got injured and he was just kind of off. The Blue Coats really flew when Shaq and Norvell Pell got that pick and roll rolling. I want to see Munford obviously excel in the pick and roll. I hope we see that. I don't know if we do or not, but he was a pretty good shooter. In 2017, he shot 44% from 3 in a lot of attempts. So maybe there could be something there. Let's talk about Julian Washburn. Washburn signed a 2-way contract with the Memphis Grizzlies last year. He saw the majority of his time split between the Grizzlies and the Memphis Hustle. He was actually part of the Andre Iguodala trade back a few months ago. But he put up some pretty good stats with the Memphis Hustle. 13 points, 4 boards in 33 minutes. He shot 46% from 3 in 4.2 attempts per game. What do you want to see from Julian Washburn? Go ahead, man. Go, Jason.
Cash out, rebound, defend.
Next question. Go ahead, Matt.
I just want to see him have active hands on the defensive end. He had a lot of steals in college. And I think that if he can start the fast break, he can run pretty well at his size. He's 6'8". Like Jason said, defend and get on the glass.
A little nervous that he could maybe take some minutes away from Haywood Highsmith. He seems to be that shooter, multiple positionless wing that maybe could be active on defense and shoot from three. Please tell me I'm crazy. I hope I am.
I mean, they want him to be a 3-and-D guy. I mean, he's got the body type and the skill set to be that. Whether or not he can be that successfully remains to be seen.
Yeah, but he's the first person that we've talked about so far that you could say could slot in at the 4.
Yep.
So I don't know that it's necessarily an either or.
True. I think they can play at the same time.
We've got a little group here, but this is a very wing-heavy roster.
It is.
But there is going to be space at that 4 spot. So guys that are in this 6'8", 6'9" range that we're going to start talking about here, those are the guys. If they can defend, shoot, and rebound, that's basically all you're going to ask for that spot.
Let's talk about another one. He is Isaiah Myles. They signed Isaiah Myles to an Exhibit 10 deal back in August. He spent the last few seasons in France. Sixers fans remember him back in the Summer League. But, he did shoot pretty well from 3. This is a 6'7" combo forward that can play a little stretch 4. Seems to be prime and ready for the G League. Matt, what do you want to see from Isaiah Myles?
You forgot to mention that he went to St. Joe's.
I'm a Temple guy. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains that. He got experience playing professional ball over in Europe, and he showed that he belonged on an NBA team, and he's been able to do that by getting into the G League here. So I just want him to continue working off his body of work from the Euro leagues, and his body of work there was really a guy that was able to score, was able to defend, and was great in transition. I think that was probably his best skill in Europe, was how good he was in transition. So with a team that doesn't have a true point guard, a guy like that is going to be really important. I think he's going to get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, he did impress a little bit when he played with the Sixers Summer League team. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. He's a guy that if he runs, defends, and shares, the 3 pillars of Connor Johnson's coaching philosophy, then he's going to be he's going to play a lot. I think he is one of those guys that just got tired of not living in the U.S. This is an opportunity for him to be really close to family and his support system. While playing professional basketball with a shot at playing NBA minutes at some point. I didn't get to spend a lot of time talking with him during Sixers camp because I just saw the numbers, and it's kind of awkward knowing that the numbers are really kind of against the guy. But I look forward to getting to know him and really getting to dig in and watch his game. But again, he's one of those guys that you could really see being that 3-4 combo in a team that is going to have a huge back line and just look to shoot and run with everybody else.
Move aside St. Joe's. Let's talk about my Temple Owls. As a Temple alum, first of all, no one was more excited to hear that the Blue Coats signed Shiz Alston Jr. Let's not talk about Temple football. That's another story. I'm still recovering from that UCF game. But Shiz Alston Jr., he's a combo guard, one of the streakiest shooters in college basketball last year. I cannot wait to watch this guy play. Go ahead, Jason. What do you want to see from Shiz Alston Jr.?
Can he play point guard?
No.
Well, he's the backup point guard right now.
I know he's not a facilitator. This is more of a high volume, streaky, inconsistent shooter that will shoot you in games just as much as he'll shoot you out of it. That's what he is.
My philosophy on point guards is they are defined by the success of the people around them. And for him, it's going to be really important for him to show that he can make other people successful. So,
couldn't agree more. Go ahead, Matt.
So he was first team All AAC last year, I think. He had a stellar season. But as you said, he's a combo guard. He's 6'4". He's able to get kind of anything he wants against the college guard. But against some of these NBA guards, he's going to have a lot more trouble getting whatever he wants, and that streaky shooting could happen. It could be more bad than good if he lets himself get into situations where he's trying to go up against guys that are bigger than him. But Jason said exactly the right thing. He has to learn how to distribute, or else he's not going to have a place on this team.
Absolutely. He is a good shooter. Don't get me wrong. He's very good from the free throw line. He's very good from three. But consistency, man, he's going to be one of those scratch your head type of players watching with the Delaware Blue Coats all year. I know it. Let's move on to AJ Davis. I'm not really interested in talking about players from UCF, obviously, especially when they just smoked my Temple Owls. All right, but let's talk about, in a weird way, the Blue Coats waived Terrence Drisdom, who we're going to get into after this, after they drafted this guy. So AJ Davis, little Blue Coats fun fact, he is the son of former NBA All-Star Antonio Davis. Wow. And Davis made the Sixers Summer League roster. He didn't really play. What are you expecting from AJ Davis? Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, he's a big guy. I think he needs to get into the weight room a little bit. He's 6'9", but he's just over 200 pounds. So if he's going to be playing a power forward type position, he's going to need to be banging bodies a little bit and getting on that glass, and he's going to need a little bit more weight and strength to help him with that. So I really just want to see him develop his body and develop a presence in the paint. That's what I really want to see from him.
Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to get into the family affair portion of the podcast. He's within a group that is going to have a big opportunity to play in that 4 spot, and they just have to be able to execute what the coaches are looking for, and that's going to come down to not making mistakes on defense. Helping on the glass, because I think it's going to be a weakness, and getting out, running, and catching and shooting. I don't expect him to be an initiator or an ISO threat offensively, but you never know. But be physical. His father was certainly physical. He made a very good living for a very long time, just sort of, imposing his will on other teams.
Next up, we have Elijah Kane. Eli Kane is actually a local boy from Medford, New Jersey. He's a 6'6" guard who played at DePaul. He averaged 13 points, 1.2 steals in 34 minutes a game. He's a career 36% shooter from three. What do you expect from Eli Kane? Go ahead, Jason.
Shoot 39% from three.
Pretty much. Go ahead, Matt.
I was kind of hoping that we would scoop up Max Strus, who was his teammate. I thought he was a phenomenal player last year. Those two guys gave DePaul probably one of their best seasons in the last, I don't even know how long. But Eli Kane can get really hot. And as Jason said, high percentage from the three-point line. That's what they're looking for from him. I don't know how much he's going to play because they have a wealth of guys at that exact position. But if he's shooting the lights out, he'll get playing time. It's that simple.
Awesome. Next up, we have a new guy. Well, a little new guy. I don't know if you would call him new guy, actually. But his name is Terrence Drisdom. Terrence was just drafted in the 2019 NBA G League draft. He's a 6'5", 27-year-old guard out of Corona, California. He played actually 9 games with the Blue Coats last year before they acquired AJ Davis. There could be maybe a little rivalry with that. I don't know. But he last time you could see him, he was in Mexico in the CIBA Copa League, where he averaged 12.7 points a game, hitting 41% from three. What do you want to see from Terrence? Go ahead, Jace.
I saw him today. He was actually in the shooting group with Haywood and Zyre. And he's around that size. Like he's about right in between those two guys size-wise. And hit the transition three. And I do think he's got a little more off the dribble ability to attack downhill than some of the other guys that we've been talking about over the last few. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him attack closeouts better than some of the other players we've talked about. So there's going to be opportunity there. However, I'm not sure he gets all the way to the rim. So he might be one of those guys that attacks closeouts and then pulls up for the 8-footers. And that's where the Kobe assist becomes crucially important.
All right. Go ahead, Matt.
So I agree with everything Jason just said. We saw him play in the basketball tournament, which TBT, and he did pretty well there. He's shown himself to be a scorer. And, you know, like Jason said, if he gets himself into open areas and can just shoot the ball, you know, as we've discussed several times during this pod, you know, they don't have a pure distributor. So it's going to be important that there's ball movement to guys getting into open areas that can shoot the ball. We're going to see a very interesting offense here where guys are just going to get into open spaces in the defense and just have to hit the mid-range jumper, hit the three-pointer. So he's just going to have to hit those open shots, and that's what's going to keep him on the floor.
Next up, we got Martavius Mcknight. Martavius Mcknight was a big-time scorer for Arkansas Pine Bluff, the Golden Lions, where he averaged over 20 points a game and 1.5 steals in 36 minutes per game. High-volume shooter from three. He made 38.7% from three in 6 attempts per game. What should we expect from Martavius Mcknight? He was a recent draft pick of the Delaware Blue Coats. Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, I don't like being mean, but the SWAC conference is just absolutely brutal. I mean, the competition he was playing against in the SWAC conference is it's going to be tough to compare what he did in college to what he's going to be able to do in the G League. The guys he was playing against are a lot of guys that probably should have, you know, played JUCO and things like that. So that's one part of it. But you know, he's a pure scorer. The guy knows how to put the ball in the bucket, and you know that's all they're going to be looking for from him. Really, I don't know if he's going to have defense. He wasn't playing against guys that could really test his defense, so that's something that remains to be seen. But he's going to be a shooter, and he can put the ball in the basket. Though I think that's just what they're going to rely on him for in scoring.
Any comments on Martavius Mcknight, Jason?
Yeah, I actually talked with Matt Lilly yesterday about, because I just point blank said, who are your point guards on this roster? and he was the third name on the list. So he's coming into camp as the third string point guard, going to have an opportunity to show his ability at that spot. And you know, he's behind Shiz and Xavier. Xavier is going to be the starter right now. As of right now, this is how they're penciling it in. So again, he's going to be a natural scorer with instincts, and he's going to want to get in. But those are the kind of guys that when they get to this level and they start playing against much larger players, they start finding themselves getting into the real danger zone of inefficient 15, 16, 18 footers as they get by their guy, but then they see that wall of defense, that second layer, and they're pulling up, and that's where inefficient offense comes from. So it's a challenge. I haven't really gotten to see him much yet in camp, but he's got an opportunity. What else can you ask for?
Awesome. Last two, we got Jamal Anis and Terry Harris.
Wait. What about our guy Michael Bryson?
We can talk about Michael Bryson. Go ahead, man.
Is he the fourth point guard?
No, he's not. I was surprised to see him. He's one of those guys that got bumped down. I think he was listed as 6'5" or 6'6" last year, and he's sort of a 2-3, but he was really athletic, and he was one of their top 6 or 7 rotation guys before I think he broke his ankle last year and was out for the year. He broke before they moved into the field house, he suffered that injury, so you didn't see much of him last year, but he was a pretty darn good player, and great guy around as far as a teammate, having a really positive spirits, positive vibe, athletic, and can shoot. I think he's got a better chance than people may think to be a significant contributor for this team.
Awesome. Let's talk about Jamal Anis, 6'1" guard out of Antelope Valley College. Matt, who is Jamal Anis?
I don't know a whole lot about Jamal Anis, I'm going to be honest. I was going to talk about Bryson a little bit more, but wasn't Jamal Anis one of the walk-on tryout players?
Well, he's James Ennis' brother, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Is he? Okay. I apologize. I really don't know much about
I'm sure that's a complete non-factor.
And moving on to Terry Harris.
I was just going to mention about Michael Bryson. If we
let's talk about Michael Bryson.
He played on that UC Santa Barbara team, and I actually know Michael Bryson because he played with Alan Williams. I don't know if you guys know who Alan Williams is, but he was an absolute monster in college. He played with the Suns a couple years ago. He's been kind of being one of the top guys in the G League. Him and Jameel Warney are like the two stud big men in the G League that can't seem to find a grasp on an NBA team. And Michael Bryson, when he played with him, his assist numbers are up. If Bryson has good players around him, I think we're going to start seeing him come out of his shell and become a contributor. But he's really only going to play if other guys are injured or up with the Sixers or whatever it may be.
Awesome.
Don't be surprised if he's got his full mobility back. Don't be surprised. He was a bigger part of that rotation early in the year last year when Bolden was still playing for the Coats. He was playing quite a bit.
All right. Jason, finish us off on Terry Harris. Go ahead, man.
Terry Harris looks an awful lot like his brother, Tobias Harris.
He's a big body. He's 6'6".
No, he's that's generous. Is he listed as 6'6"?
I believe so.
Let me look at this. I think that's generous. I'll be honest with you.
15.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as a 6'6" type player. It's gonna come down to he's going to have to hit shots. He's not an advanced defender. He's not gonna grab rebounds. Not gonna put the ball on the floor. He is going to have to knock down. I mean, he's gonna have to knock down his shots. He really is. But I think he comes from a family that you're not going to worry about him. One of the things that Connor talked about was his biggest concern, because he thinks he has a lot more talent this year than he did last year, is he had a great culture and guys stuck together through some rough times and a lot of flux, injuries and a roster turnover. Terry Harris could be a guy that could really help bring the culture together and tie the culture to Philadelphia a bit. But for him to play significant minutes, he's going to have to be lights out from three. He just flat out is. And I'm not sure when I watch him shoot that he screams lights out shooter for me. So, he's part of the connective tissue that the Blue Root is founded upon.
Love it, love it, love it. That is Jason Blevins. Follow him on Twitter at JBlevinsNBA. He is Matt. Follow him on Twitter at Pure Booyah. The Delaware Blue Coats open their season on November 9th. That's 2 Saturdays away. Taco Fall versus Chris Kumaji. Let's go.
Wait, can we talk about the house band?
Oh my God! Of course. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah. So I want everybody to really, really come out. You're gonna have Taco Fall. You're gonna have Chris Komachi. You're gonna have 2 7'4+ guys on the floor. You're gonna get your first look at your Blue Coats, but come early to that game, you are gonna see the world-renowned Paul Green Rock Academy, the founder of the School of Rock. These kids played 90 minutes before the blue-white game.
So good.
Rave reviews. Even Chris Heck
came
good. Up to me. They were fantastic, right?
No, they're just rocking out with Led Zeppelin, everything.
Killing it. They're gonna do, if you're a Rights to Ricky Sanchez fan, they were at the Live Ricky. They played the house band for the Live Ricky, but they will be playing certain songs that you will recognize if you listen to that podcast. They do rock and roll, punk rock covers. They will do rap songs, Jay-Z. They will do all kinds of things that I promise you, if you're a deep process trusting fan. They will play songs that will make you smile. They will rock that place, and we are very, very proud. And behind me, you can see right there, that is the bass drum cover for that house kit. I'm going to bring that over and we're going to install it in time for the 9th. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a really interesting team. They have a real chance of disrupting a lot of teams and making hay in the G League. And there are 5 guys, I counted them today, 5 guys on this Blue Coats roster that played Sixers Summer League and preseason and training camp. So you're going to see guys that can play realistically, play at some point in the NBA. You're going to be able to see it really up and close, intimate atmosphere, relaxed atmosphere. It's just, if you guys have been there, you guys have been there. Yep. It's not an experience that you'll regret. You'll have a great time. It's very different than the glitz and the glamour of the NBA. It's just a much more intimate experience, and you'll get to know these guys. You will get to meet them, and they will sign autographs after games. They hang out with people. So everyone we've talked about today, we're really excited. The team is very excited.
We're excited.
We're excited. Come say hello to us. We'll be there on the 9th, right?
Oh yeah,
we'll
man.
be there all season.
Can't wait. Love the Blue Coats. Make sure you follow the Blue Root on Twitter at BlueRootTPL. For Matt, for Jason, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.